At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, welcome everybody. Let's get that mic figured out. There we go. We got the mic. We got it situated. We got it figured out here. Let's we're going to talk about Nick Smith Jr. for a little bit. We've also got some transfer portal news. Good news, bad news, I don't know. We're going to discuss it all here on Tuss Talk with Ty. Hope you guys had a good week. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Yo, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, and all that cool stuff. Check out all the sponsors right down there. Check those guys out. Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company, located right here all over the state. I shouldn't say right here in Northwest Arkansas. They're located all over the state. They'll do work for you. You need some repairs done, hit them up. 100 to 5-star reviews, better than best results, free estimates, quality parts. 501-244 3667. It's weird rolling off the tongue. It feels like I'm saying too many numbers. Give them a call today. How about Apex Tattoo Studio, located on 615 West Oak Street, Rogers, Arkansas, 479-278-2694. Get set up. Get you some ink done. They're offering $1,000 tap-out session appointments. Those are available. Mention Tuss Talk with Ty. Think of all the ink you can get done. Like a $700-800 job, right? A big job. You're going to get 10% off if you mention Tuss Talk with Ty. And then, of course, to the sponsor, whom I was at their establishment for the postgame show Saturday night. It was bitter. It was bitter what we witnessed on the screen, but the pizza, the pies, the beverages on tap were fantastic. So if you guys are hungry for some pizza tomorrow or this evening, they open up on Mondays at 4 p.m. FYI. Go hit up the Odd Soul located on Emma Street. You can't miss them. I got some pictures I need to upload on their Discord page too as well. They're on our Discord, as is Apex Tattoo Studio and Direct Service Overhead. Let's jump right into this. Again, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Shout out to you lovely Patreon supporters as well. I don't know. I'm experimenting with the art, with the with the font. I'm doing the best I can. But I think that's pretty cool. We're honoring the people, honoring everybody who donates to the Patreon, and of course to the $8 and up, or the $8 plus club. Look at that. It's not quite half, but my goodness, you guys are just you guys are rock stars. All right, let's start off with the Nicky Smith stuff. We know that a certain individual who I've been told is wildly accurate when talking about Razorbacks. Where did his tweet go? Where? There it is. Jeff Goodman tweeted this out yesterday, 12:22 p.m. Eric Musselman said Nick Smith Jr. will miss the rest of January while rehabbing his right knee. We all know this in Los Angeles. For those saying he isn't coming back, I've been told by a source close to the situation, the plan is for Smith to return in February, as long as he's 100%. Now, some of that is, yeah, we know that. We kind of already know that. The tip here, or the I don't know, the thing here to pay most attention to, apparently, I have been told that Jeff Goodman he does have something's going on in Fayetteville. He's just very well connected. Now, what he knows versus what some of the other local media folks, what he knows that others don't, I don't know. I don't know how legit that news is that Jeff Goodman is that well dialed in to begin with. I don't know. But I have had multiple people, including another media member, actually tell me that, yeah, actually he's pretty accurate when it comes to this stuff. So, but it is also kind of obvious, all right? I'm sure, Curtis Wilkerson is very well aware over at 247 Sports that there is a plan to get him back in place in February. But I thought it was interesting because, again, so many of you, including some friends of mine, texting or DMing me about, hey, look, I think Jeff Goodman, he knows something that we don't. Maybe he's worth keeping an eye on. But listen, I would say take it more serious if it comes from Curtis Wilkerson. That's what I would say. All right, that if Curtis says something about Nicky Smith, my ears are gonna really perk up. And there's some other guys out there. JC Hoops. He's Jackson Collier. Is that right? Is that his name? I'm sorry. I'm horrible with names, but I think he's going out and getting his law degree, right? He's doing this thing with law degree. I think he could cover Razorback basketball really well. I've really enjoyed reading some of his stuff. Nothing against Jeff Goodman. I'm just saying when you get these talking heads, these big media people that are national, right? They cover the entire landscape. I'm not saying you shouldn't take them. I'm not saying you should take what Jeff says with a grain of salt, but just, just hold on. But that is also, by the way, on the same token, it is the plan. Nick Smith to return in February. So, and the other kicker to this is that there are a lot of people who've said, and I had a number of people come at me over my comment that I made on Twitter about, hey, look, buzz off. Nick Smith is all hog. I've heard that from day one after he committed and signed, but you also have to realize, as much as this is a business for the athletic director, for the coaches on staff, for the head coach, it's also a business for the players. And so I think that's something to keep into consideration when you're talking about these players and whether or not they want to come back. I do think he wants to come back. He's a competitor. You've seen him on the bench cheering on his players. When he's there right now, he's across the state getting some work done. Or I don't really know what the hell they're doing in Los Angeles. I guess they're just looking at his knee, getting maybe a second or third opinion on what they can do with his knee. But I do think he wants to be a hog, and that's the other kicker to this, is that more and more people are saying, like, look, there is a plan to get him back in February. So, and I also want to say this. As fans, and I definitely do believe that Muss is following this guideline or this belief. You cannot move forward either as fans or as a team, as a coaching staff, in the mindset of, okay, we have to hit cruise control up until February. We just got to hit cruise control. Just do the best we can until Nick Smith. He is our savior on this team. You can't do that. You can't have that mindset. Number one, you could be very disappointed for a number of different reasons, right? Let's say Nick comes back, and you know what? It takes him a little while to mold together, right? It takes him a little while. Bama is legit, says Woo Pig. Yeah, Bama's pretty damn good. I think now that we're starting to see more and more, as the season unfolds, we're getting a better, more clear picture of what Alabama, what they are and what they're capable of. The same goes for Tennessee. They're both playing really well. I think, again, going back to Nick Smith here for just a second. Yes, getting him back would be huge. But if you're putting all your eggs in that basket, you could be in for a big disappointment. It could be like a slow developing thing if he does come back in February, and I'm saying that with a big if. Right now, my mindset is just win with what you have, figure out the formula, get the chemistry together on the floor, and just let the rest take care of itself. But again, the kicker to all of this is that Nick Smith Jr. would have to come in and disrupt that whatever it is formula, assuming it's working at that point. I don't know. The offense is really worrying me quite a bit. It's one thing to come down behind 17 to a really good offensive Mizzou team who's not that great of defense versus teams like Alabama, Tennessee. I would argue A&M, but I still think A&M's – I'm not really super sold on A&M just yet. But, yeah, a lot of different moving parts to this with Nicky Smith, with old little Nicky. I say little. You want him back? Yes, you want Nick Smith back. But I think a lot of fans in their minds, they've kind of moved on. Bama is 8 deep. Bama is legit. I mean, I haven't looked at their numbers on stat sheets, but I've watched them a little bit. Lord, they just seem they're going to be tough in Fayetteville. I'll just say that. Tied with us getting Haas and maybe another tight end from the portal. Do you see the offense maybe running a 2 tight end set if we get Easter? I don't know. Probably not. I think you're going to get more of what you've seen under Kendall. I think you're just going to get more of what you've seen. I don't think, and I know last year it was a question of depth. It was a question of who's really healthy behind Trey Knox. But Bax was a capable tight end as far as a blocker. And even when Henry was healthy, we didn't see a lot of 2 tight end sets. So I don't know. I think you're probably just going to see more. You're probably just going to see more of the same. Devo has got to be more productive on offense inside the 3-point line. Yeah, I agree with that, James. I agree with that, Wit, good sir. Devo's shot is that mid-range jump shot. That's his shot. You'd like to see him. You'd like to see him climb. You like to see him do his thing. Doom and gloom, not getting past first round. I don't know who you're talking to, David. Who said that? Matchups do matter, David Coleman, sir. Howdy. What's going on, Red? How you doing, man? Kapeski, yo. Zachary Beeler had a poll on 247 and wanted to get your take, Ty. Who's the GOAT of Arkansas basketball? The GOAT? Nolan Richardson. That's your GOAT. Some would argue Eddie Sutton because of what he did in reestablishing Arkansas basketball. That's a tough one, man. I don't know. Sidney Moncrief, Delph, Corliss. Joe Johnson only played a year. Bobby Portis. Daniel Gafford, unfortunately, just didn't have a lot of talent around him. God, J.D. Notae, you wonder if he's in that discussion. That's a tough one. That's really tough. I wonder if Anthony Black, and he's going to be a one and done, but by the time Anthony Black's done, does he deserve to be in that conversation, at least among point guards? Lord almighty. I don't see us getting him back, but I hope so. But I hope we do. This is Blue Kicks _20. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, let me rephrase that. I agree with you. I'm having a hard time if it's requiring Nick Smith to travel to California, if it's requiring him to fly halfway across entirely on the West Coast, I don't know. That's usually not a good sign, right? I don't know. I'm assuming they have some like world famous specialist there. I don't know what he's doing over there, but I would just say that it's when you're having to travel that far, and again, maybe it's to see some specialist, but you're telling me like Dallas or somewhere in Texas, I don't know. No one within the last 20 years are in the GOAT status, in my opinion. Well, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, that's difficult because Corliss obviously went to back-to-back Final Fours, won a national title. I mean, you're talking about different eras of college basketball, but it's also not fair to say someone like J.D. Notae doesn't belong in that conversation. It's not fair to say Daniel Gafford. Well, I wouldn't say Daniel. I wouldn't put Gafford in that. But Bobby Portis. It's not fair to say, well, Portis doesn't belong there because they couldn't get past the second round, because they couldn't beat North Carolina. That's not fair. I think Bobby Portis does belong in that conversation somewhere. I don't know where. I wouldn't put him as the greatest, but at least he's in the conversation. Kopesky said without Nick Smith Jr. Oh, okay. All right, my bad. My bad, David. Sorry, I didn't see that. Sometimes it's hard when you guys are talking to each other. Notae isn't in the top 10. I guarantee you there are people that know a lot more about basketball than you and I combined that would strongly disagree with that. Everyone chill out. No need to panic. Yeah, I don't think there's any need to panic about Nick Smith. I mean, again, we have seen flashes of brilliance with this team without Nick Smith. There's games like LSU on the road and games like Auburn on the road where you could have really used him, or of course Trevon Brazil. I think Brazil, we don't talk enough about Brazil's absence. We just don't. And I know it's kind of out of our it's out of our hands. He's done for the year, but it's still a major impact. But unfortunately, Nick Smith Jr., right now, we know the odds of him coming back in January are insanely low. I would say really, really low. We'll see what February. I say February 1st. Don't mark your calendar, but maybe make a mental note. There's a possibility we might get Nick back, but whatever. We're just going to have to move forward with what we have. But at least make a mental note that maybe then we're going to have to keep an eye on where Nick Smith is at in his or just what Musselman tells the media, right? What Musselman says to the media. That's really all we're going to have to go on. So just make a mental note of it. We'll see what happens in February. Right now, he's not playing. You've got to pick yourself up. You got to find some offense somewhere. I saw we call it good and move on to baseball. Oh, I wouldn't go that far. Okay, you said JK. All right. Watching the games, I've noticed Brazil's absence more than I've noticed Nick Smith Jr., to be honest. Yeah, around the rim for sure. And their struggles at getting the putbacks, those struggles have been real, man. Yeah, Super Sid, no doubt. Yeah, I would probably say Sidney Moncrief is the greatest basketball player of all time at Arkansas. Delph is probably in that conversation. I'd put Bobby Portis in that conversation. That's a wild take to say that in the 2000s you can't be in that conversation. That's wild. I disagree with that strongly. Like I think Bobby Portis could absolutely be in that conversation. Joe Johnson maybe, but he only played a year. He's a one and done before he got drafted by the Celtics. Unfortunate. Yeah, and I agree with that take on Brazil. Brazil's absence, although could get muscled out sometimes, I thought he kind of struggled boxing out when it came to the more physical, fours and fives underneath and around the rim. He could get out physical, but still had the length to kind of make up for it in the athleticism. Moved really well up and down the floor. I feel like Pinion gets a little more confidence. That's going to help out a ton. Brody, I agree. I just think they're going to have to figure out on the offensive end of the floor how to find ways to get him open, how to find ways to feed him the ball. And yeah, some people are going to argue that, well, they didn't pass it to Pinion when he was wide open. I kept a pretty good eye on Pinion most of that game against Auburn. And, of course, again, LSU, I didn't get to watch any of it. I went back, watched the highlights. It's hard to say one way or another what really happened in that game, not just talking about Pinion, but in general. In this game, it looked to me like even though he appeared to be open, an Auburn player was within a slightly off pass away from, creating a turnover, stealing the ball. I do believe that that Pinion they're going to have to figure out a way to get Pinion more involved. For sure, they're going to have to outside ball screens, whatever, set up your own shot. They're going to have to figure it out. Triplets greatest era. Yeah, and again, when you're talking about Delph, when you're talking about Sidney Moncrief, when you're talking about Brewer Sr., those are guys I just didn't get a chance to watch. I've only ever seen highlights. It's kind of like when people talk about, when my generation talks about like Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, Oliver Miller. By the way, some names in there that should be in that greatest of all time conversation. Oliver Miller was certainly someone to watch. But it's the same thing. Like the younger crowd, the people born in the 90s have no idea like being able to watch those guys. Now, to be fair, that was my introduction to basketball. That was my introduction, watching those guys play and getting the opportunity. Of course, back then it was a lot more rare than it is today, but getting the opportunity to watch them play on television. I mean, it was unlike anything you'd ever seen. So I'm also biased in that I watched those guys play, but I was too young to really compare them to anybody else. But to me, and that's bias, I fully admit it, those are three of the greatest Razorbacks to ever play together on the same floor. Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, and Oliver Miller. Terrific players. But the greatest of all time, if you're just talking about greatest basketball contributor, whatever, it's Nolan Richardson. Hopefully we enter Musselman into that conversation before he leaves, or retires or whatever. They played him pretty tight. I'd say run him off the screens. Yeah, they've got to figure out a way to get Pinion more involved. And it just does. It looks like their game plan for him is just to hide out in the corner. I don't know that that's going to pay off for them for very long. Clearly against Auburn, it didn't do a damn thing. Nolan is the GOAT. Nolan is the greatest of all time. And you could argue between him and Frank Broyles, two of the greatest to ever have anything to do with Arkansas athletics. Right? Dave Van Horn is in that category without a national championship of the three, but still what he's done with baseball, keeping it afloat and taking it beyond, just incredible. Just incredible. Go to medias, Paul Ellis. Yeah, Paul Ellis is, yeah. I mean, that's, touchdown Arkansas is legendary. I get it. I would say that's probably true. That's probably accurate. If you're talking about, someone calling the game. I like Chuck. To me, Chuck is pretty great. I felt like peak sports, live broadcasting of games, Chuck and Keith Jackson were fantastic. I love listening to Keith Jackson. Don't care that he went to Oklahoma. Don't care that he went to OU. He's from Little Rock. His kid played here. Loved listening to him talk about, being the guy with Chuck. That was fantastic, man. That was some great years working in the tire shop and listening to Chuck and Keith Jackson. It was just great. Steve Sullivan is, I don't know. I'll be honest, I've never listened to Steve Sullivan. I've met him a couple times, but I don't know. Talk forever, Ty, stun the like. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Some interesting conversations right out the gate, talking about the greatest top 10 or the GOAT, the greatest of all time. We don't all agree, and that's fine. That's fine. We can all agree to disagree. I do believe that J.D. Notae deserves to be in the conversation. I know several people that have watched a lot more Arkansas basketball than I have would tell me that they believe he should be in the top 6, top 8. I've had this conversation actually with a few people. It's always interesting, though. Different takes, and that's fine. My personal favorite of all time, like just my personal favorite, I don't know, man. Bobby Portis was sure as hell fun to watch. Corliss would be number 1. I think for me, Portis would be number 2. Man, I feel like I'm forgetting some folks. I know I am. Todd Day was Lee Mayberry as a kid was my favorite. I don't know. For me personally, that's a tough one. I would put J.D. Notae on my list for sure, in the top 10, maybe right outside the top 8, maybe 9th, 10th. Yeah, I know we've all done it, right? I tried doing this the other day, figuring out my top 5 favorite players up and down the roster at each position for football, right? Quarterback, Matt Jones is my all-time favorite. Ryan Mallett number 2. Number 3 is Tyler Wilson. 4 is Clint Sterner. 5 is Brandon Allen. Top 5 running backs, D-Mac's number 1, of course. If he's not at least number 1 on your list, then I don't know. You're just trying to be different, and that's fine. But D-Mac's got to be up there. Number 2, who would it be, man? For me, it's like Alex Collins and then Felix. And then after that, it's kind of like a toss-up of a bunch of names. I mean, there's so many great running backs, right? Cedric Cobbs has got to be in there. Madre Hill, who still owns a rushing record for Arkansas, rushing touchdowns in a game. What was it, South Carolina, 94, when he ran for he had 6 rushing touchdowns or something? I think he still holds on to that record. But Madre Hill is in that list. Oh, you're right. Like, we all do that on all these different sports. I can't do it for baseball because I'll be real honest with you. I didn't care much for college baseball up until really Dave Van Horn. When Dave Van Horn took over, then I started trying to go to the games a little bit, getting more involved. Even the years where they weren't so great, it was just fun to kind of watch. Baum Stadium is, as someone who's been to a couple minor league stadiums, couple pro, I got to go to the Astrodome years ago, 1990. Of course, I've been to the old Busch Stadium, the new Busch Stadium in St. Louis. As someone who's been at least in a couple different places in Major League Baseball in terms of just being in the stadium, Baum Stadium in the mid-late 90s was unlike anything that, college baseball just was kind of blown away by that. Of course, you didn't have social media the way it is now and the way everything's kind of blown up, right? But back then, it definitely made waves in college athletics that Arkansas had something like Baum Stadium, located right down the road on Razorback Road. And it still is to this day considered one of the great, and it's, how old is Baum now? When was it built? Mid-90s? God, I should remember this. I used to ride my bike. I've told you guys this story. The old Campbell Soup factory right there. There's the train tracks a little further down. Actually, it's right there next to Campbell's. I used to ride my bike up and down those train tracks. Used to go down to where Baum Stadium is now. It was nothing but cow fields. It was unreal. Now it doesn't even look the same. It's hard to believe that Arkansas had that right in the mid-late 90s. And you can say the same thing about Bud Walton. The only eyesore Arkansas has is down in Little Rock. I'll just say that. That's the only real eyesore where Arkansas is affiliated with, I should say, where they play once every other year. All right, anyways, let's get caught up here. I love Paul Ellis. Yeah, I mean, how could you not love Paul, Chuck called fans who wanted Nutt fired terrorist. I didn't know that. Did he really? What? Tell me he was saying that ironically. Oh, tell me he's saying that ironically. No way. Yeah, he was. I like Phil calling the baseball games, but he was really good at calling baseball. Chuck was. I agree with that, Will. 110%. John Everett says Moncrief. I think anyone who's old enough to know, even if you didn't watch basketball, Sidney Moncrief is the greatest. I mean, man, he set some kind of record in the NBA, but it was, I think Michael Jordan broke it. He didn't hold on to it for very long, but he held some kind of record, and I don't remember what it was. Someone, what's up, Ty? What's going on, Ryan Jones? How you doing, man? We could use Alex Dillard. Oh, Alex Dillard. Nick Smith Jr. is with Clutch Sports. Yes, he is. I believe that's correct. Oh, they're NIL. They are based in LA. That's why he's there with a specialist. I did not know that. Richard Hartman. I'm not calling you a liar. I just did not know that. Okay, I did not know. I knew he was with. I didn't know Clutch was located out of LA. Huh. That is fascinating. A sold-out War Memorial Stadium is a special experience. I've been there multiple times. I've tailgated there. I've been there, guys. Been there for some big games. I understand the dislike for the games played there, but the atmosphere is incredible. It is. For big games, was there versus LSU in 2010. Yeah. There's been some great games on Markham, for sure. But it is an eyesore. I don't, right now, and the only way they can fix it, they're going to have to use a lot of taxpayer money to get it fixed because it's actually owned by the state, I believe. That sounds right. I think it's always been owned by the state. I could be wrong, but it's an eyesore. And when they zoom out and they show you War Memorial, yeah, you've got that feeling of, man, a lot of history there. You know, some legendary games played there, but it's like that is so embarrassing that Arkansas plays in there. It is not a stadium that deserves an SEC opponent. It's just not, or an SEC team, period, playing inside that stadium. That is just too bad. But they're gonna keep playing there for a little while, at least for the foreseeable future. But I do think Hunter wants out, but he knows he can't. I think there's people in Little Rock that have quite a bit of influence over the university. Sorry I'm late, Ty, but what's looking at with Tesla? All right, we're at the 32-minute mark. We can segue into this next part. What's going on in the portal? Well, Arkansas got a blow today. Thornton, big-time 4-star wide receiver out of Oregon, big body, 6'4", 6'5", 197 pounds. Committed to Tennessee over Arkansas today. Not shocked at all. When I saw, I think Tennessee was his last visit. When I saw that, I knew right then and there, I don't like the odds here. Tennessee right now is kind of on fire, right? They just had an incredible season. Even without Hendon Hooker, like, look, man, the next guy up at quarterback is going to be in pretty good shape. I wouldn't hesitate at all. I don't really know what their turnover looks like on their roster, but I could tell you, even if they have quite a bit of turnover, which I think obviously a lot of teams are dealing with it, they're still, simply because of what that offense is capable of doing and who's calling that offense and who's calling the plays, they're going to lose pieces here and there. Sure, I wouldn't blame anybody for putting them in the top 10, top 8 next year. I mean, guys, they're feeling it. Tennessee, to me, it feels like they're probably feeling that euphoric kind of Phil Hogs we're having going into year 4 under Bobby Petrino. I'm not trying to compare the two, but my God, they were really electric on offense. Now, they have some head-scratching losses, even when Hendon Hooker was healthy, and of course, he went down late in that game against South Carolina. Do I have that right? Someone fact-check me. Fact-check false or fact-check true. But I think it was towards the end of that South Carolina game when he went down, they still gave up a shit ton of points. Very reminiscent of a Bobby Petrino kind of team, in terms of just what they're able to do on offense, and their defense is kind of bend, don't break. Gave up a lot of points to SC. So you understand why Thornton would want to go. You would understand why Thornton would want to go to Tennessee. And yeah, NIL is absolutely involved. And I know people, when you bring up NIL, people get butthurt. Listen, guys, this has always been going on. I have this conversation a lot with good old Arky 56, my dad, who's in here every once in a while. He's not in here right now. He's at work. He's doing his thing. But we have this conversation all the time. He absolutely hates NIL, wants to get rid of it. There's no way you can't do that now. You've opened up Pandora's box, and all that does is open you up for litigation. The NCAA may not necessarily be held responsible, but it would come down to the conferences, right? If a conference ever decided, you know what, we're going to stop with the NIL, that conference is going to end up getting sued, and maybe not immediate, but it will happen. In fact, listen, someone will try to put parameters on it. Someone's going to try. It wouldn't shock me at all that you start reading about state legislature trying to get involved with NIL. I don't know that they should. Not a big fan of government getting involved in shit like that. I'm going to be real honest with you. But you've opened up Pandora's box. This sort of stuff has always been going on. The difference being now is that it's out in the open. And it looks that much worse to fans. Has it increased? Probably. Oh, I'm sure it has since they've gone public with it, right? Since not that long ago, they've said, you know what? Yeah, NIL's a thing. You can do it. I think these players should be paid. I think they should. I don't have the answer to how you limit it. They're not supposed to be talking NIL deals on the recruiting trail. They're not supposed to be doing that. And yet here we are. How do you stop some mega fan that owns a big ass car lot in Knoxville, Tennessee? How do you do that? How do you do that? I mean, right now with NIL being the way that it is, I don't know how you do it. It's the Wild West. The timing between it and the portal was piss poor by the NCAA. They opened up a massive, they the levee broke, and you have what you have. I blame this all on the NCAA. And congratulations to him. I hope he got paid. I'm not too thrilled that it's happening at Tennessee. Would rather him get paid here. Listen, we all cheer when a fan or when a player gets an NIL deal here. We all cheer for it because it's a win for us mostly. I mean, let's be real, fans. A lot of fans, not you guys, but a lot of fans are pretty selfish. That's good for us. It's also good for that player, and I'd prefer him to be rolling in the dough here, if I'm being real honest. I'm not like these other people that try to hide I'm a fan. I'm a Razorback fan. You guys know that all too well. I mean, my God, look behind me. I mean, I have a show dedicated entirely to just the Razorbacks. I'm told repeatedly, you need to open up to the rest of the SEC, Ty. You want more views and subscribers, open up to the NCAA. No, I'm good. I'm good here. But, yeah, I think they should get paid. I just think that, and I knew this when I said it, like, yeah, you're opening up a big, box of snakes here. You just got to hope that you don't get bit too often. And they have. And right here, Arkansas losing to Thornton, losing to Tennessee is absolutely NIL deal stuff, and I do think it has something to do with Tennessee's offense. And I don't blame Thornton at all for going to Tennessee. The staff, if they lose out, Tesla announces tomorrow, right? We've got their name on the front of this thumbnail. Tesla announces tomorrow. I don't know where I'm at. And this is what's tricky with transfer portal. Thornton didn't even have smoke. No one had any idea because you had such a short window on these visiting dates. There was no smoke. No one really knew. I mean, everyone I talked to was like, I have no idea, but I'm leaning towards Tennessee. And that's where I was leaning. I think that was just it's just guessing on our part because it's Tennessee. They're red hot on offense, and their NIL stuff right now is, I guess, through the roof. And it is what it is. And you lost out. And if you lose Tesla to Iowa, who offered his brother a preferred walk-on, or not brother, friend. I think it was a friend that was offered a PWO. Colorado, who you can make fun of the Tesla in the picture all you want, but by God, you do whatever it takes to get a player to your school. I mean, the people calling out Dion over that, like, are you serious? If Arkansas did that with a red Tesla, listen, blood would be flowing to a certain area of your body. I'll just say that if Arkansas did that. So you do whatever it takes to get a player here. I would say as long as it's within the confines of the rules, but that's thrown out the window right now. But if you lose out Thornton and you lose out Tesla, again, who announces tomorrow, I haven't decided if I'm going to do a reaction or anything like that tomorrow. I don't know. We may just have to circle around to it on Wednesday. I don't know where he's going. Before Colorado, and I had apparently Colorado message board people were claiming that he did not make the trip. Well, it turned out, and I had people texting me about it, Colorado 247 boards and someone else, I guess one of their other boards were freaking out that he hadn't made the trip. That turned out to be false. He did make the trip. I guess maybe he got there a little late. I don't know. Regardless, we know that he was there because we saw pictures of him with the Tesla. Yeah, it's cheesy, but by God, if it works off for him and he goes to Colorado, say what you want. I think it was listen, I think from a marketing standpoint, bro, I mean, I have no issue with that at all. Not misinformation. What's misinformation? What are you talking about? You're right about the Hooker injury. I don't think there's an ethical way to put a cap. You can't. How do you tell someone that? And listen, I've done a lot of thinking on this, and maybe I'm just looking at the wrong point of view here. How, if you're saying that it's legal, if you're saying that kids can make money off their name, image, and likeliness, how can the government come in and say, no, you can't do that? You can't. You can only pay them this amount of money. You can't do that. They couldn't do that to Taco Bell when Taco Bell hired a 16-year-old Tyler Hudson to go flip tacos for them in 1999. No. You can't pay him. We can manage the hours. We can talk about his hours. We can talk about that. But, he can't work. I think back in the 90s, it was you couldn't work till 11 p.m. or whatever. But they couldn't cap how much money I made. If Taco Bell, who was owned by K-Mac, was it K-Mac? I don't remember, owned by a local franchisee there. Well, we want to pay Ty $15 an hour. Back then it was $5.50 an hour or something. You're talking about 1998, guys. I'm old. 1999. Sorry, my first year to join the workforce. You can't do that. Government can't do that. It'd be like the government coming in and saying, or even the NFL. Let's say the NFL tells Tom Brady, listen, you can't make $14 million from Gillette to shave your face on camera. Can't do that. NFL cannot do that. What they can do, they can put parameters on the teams, salary caps, things like that. They can do that. That is within the confines of the rules. That's what they can do. I feel like we're going to slowly, over the next decade, 5 to 10 years, and we're already kind of there when you talk about playoff expansion, college football is going to follow the NFL model. Eventually, these schools are going to have to pay the players. How much of that would help? I'm not saying it would stop NIL because it won't. How much of that would maybe help prevent these players from moving around and exploring other options in the portal and have to rely less on NIL deals from other schools? You know, you can recruit a player. You can't offer a contract, not until they're legal adults, which is 18 years of age. When they're 18, and maybe it differs in every state, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure you can offer an 18-year-old a contract. I'm pretty sure you can. Now, if it's 21, I could see that also being the case, where maybe in some states you have to be 21 years of age or something. But it's messy, man. When you get into this legal stuff, it's really messy. But you know, maybe that's the path to calming down a lot of this transfer portal movement. Guys just following the biggest NIL deal, it helps kind of put a cap on it, right? Where you're not necessarily capping what they can make on NIL, but it's preventing players from just hopping in the portal so quickly because you got to offer them some kind of 2-year deal. You've got a 2 or 3 year contract, you know, and if you want out of the contract, then you have to pay a buyout, you know, similar to basically like what they do with coaches. Only now it's to the players. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I just feel like eventually that's going to be the model. They're going to try and copy or bring over the NFL model to college football. They already have with the NIL. They already have with the playoff, and now we've got the expansion to 12 teams, hopefully happening sooner than later. You're already modeling yourself after the NFL. I don't know. How could you flip a taco? It's just trust me, you can. I just don't see the draw for wide receivers to come to Arkansas. Our offense has been run dominant with behind the line passes to receivers. You got a good point. I am Athema. Is that like a band? Is that like a heavy metal band? I dig it. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Although I would argue that it's not like Hazelwood and Landers didn't benefit. I mean, Landers clearly benefited. 47 catches, 901 yards, 8 touchdowns. What did he do at the school before? Jaden Hazelwood, similar numbers to what he did at Oklahoma, but a little bit better. 59 grabs, 702 yards, 3 touchdowns. No, I think there is some draw. There is some draw for receivers to be in this offense. And I do think someone like Tesla would be great in this offense if I'm being real, but I kind of think Tesla's going to be great no matter where he goes. You have other players talking about Kane Barong, tight end out of Notre Dame. You still got Jake Roberts, a couple tight ends. He's going to make his decision early this week. I really like Kane Barong, red shirt. He's got 3 years of eligibility, I think. I think he's a sophomore. Jake Roberts is in the same boat, I believe. Tesla should have 3 years of eligibility left. You lost Thornton. And the other player that we haven't talked about, I believe Arkansas, the last I had heard Arkansas was in good shape with was Xavier Weaver, 6'1", 180-pound receiver out of South Florida. They're going to have to get one of these three. And Weaver Weaver's pretty damn good. Like Weaver out of South Florida, I've seen a little bit of his stuff. I think I saw high school film a long time ago when I heard he was an offer. I say a long time ago. When I heard he was an offer, I kind of went down the rabbit hole a little bit. Really impressive player. 6'1", 180 pounds. Again, he's now he's going to be a one and done guy, I believe. I'm pretty sure he's a senior. You lost out on Thornton. I think the kid out of Arizona State, Taylor, DJ Taylor, I think he's still in play for Arkansas. I couldn't tell you about the rest. Someone had asked me about JoJo Evans, safety. I don't even remember where he's from. I know it's a non-P5, but I don't know anything about him. Marquez Henry. I don't have anything on those guys right now, but I think the guys in play, Jake Roberts, Kane Barong. I know I've got their names spelled out. Tesla. Yeah, Weaver, Roberts, Tesla, Barong, those are guys that are still in play. I think DJ Taylor is still in play out of Arizona State. That's right. He's going to have 2 years of eligibility. These guys are all in play this week, and Roberts and Tesla, I'm 90% sure. I know Tesla's announcing tomorrow. I don't have a time, and I'm pretty sure Jake Roberts, it could even be later today. I don't know. Roberts is supposed to announce sometime soon. So we'll just have to wait and see what he does. Give me Xavier Weaver from South Florida. It's T.Y. Arkansas is better than you think. I'm not Ty Richardson. Ty Richardson is T.Y.E. Come on. You're killing me with that. But, yeah, it's good to see you, man. Thank you for stopping by. Oh, the 6'7" wide receiver. Yeah, what's his name? What is that kid's? What did I just mention his name without even realizing it? What is that dude's name? He's got a. I just looked him up. I don't know. I don't have anything on it. I know who you're talking about. I don't think he's a Razorback lean. Arkansas, yeah, they got Walcott. They got a pickup, man. Their recruiting class overall is not bad out of the portal. You know, and Lorando Johnson was big. That corner out of Baylor. Walcott. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. I think it's Walcott. Al Walcott out of Baylor. I really like Walcott quite a bit. He's a bigger player, 6'2", 6'3" safety. Moves really well. Has 3 years under his belt. He committed to Baylor back in 2020. I'm trying to pull up his profile here. He was yeah, I mean, he had some good offers out of high school. Auburn, Baylor were a couple. SMU. He ended up with like 8 or 9 offers, I think. But yeah, that's a good get. That's a real good get. Walcott is. I'm liking what they're doing in the portal overall. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and bash what they've done in the portal. Arkansas has done a very good job so far. At least like when you're talking about the defensive side of the ball. I don't like that Jordan Dominic is still in the portal. I really hope they can convince him to come out. Didn't like Nichols going. You know, those are two guys. I mean, I think Dominic more so than Nichols. I know someone's going to point out that Dominic really only did well in non-P5 against non-con opponents, but I mean, you're kidding yourself. You don't think that's a pretty big loss on that defensive line. I don't care who it's against. 7.5, 8 sacks is a pretty big deal. John Morgan out of the portal. Trey Knox going to South Carolina was interesting. Kewan Parker committed to New Mexico State. Malik Hornsby, by the way, where did he end up going? I just saw that. Texas State, was that what it was? Miles Slusher flipped from Louisville to Colorado, if you guys hadn't heard that. Eric Thomas going to Southern Miss. Yeah, Malik Hornsby, Texas State. Ja'Cory Turner hasn't committed anywhere yet. Kari Johnson's going to Boston College. James Joyner going to Liberty. That's interesting. So you've had some movement there in the portal, and I would dare say it's yeah, there's some names there you'd like to pull out. But overall, so far, I think they've done a pretty decent job addressing their needs in the secondary. Slusher to Colorado is such a sellout move. Disappointed. Man, you know, I'm not – listen, good luck to them. That's all I can say. Good luck to all these guys. Good luck to them. Really wish they could keep definitely Jordan Dominic and Nichols. Really wish they could keep those guys. Hopefully they're able to pull Dominic out. Let's see. Ty, you got me embarrassed. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to embarrass you. I get that a lot. I get the TYE a lot. And listen, not very many people that go by Ty. Only ever Ties I've ever known, they've all spelled it TYE. I've never known a Ty to just go by TY. So it's an understandable mistake, sir. Don't be embarrassed. I, as a Razorback fan, would like to see them air it out more. Yeah, well, they do. I mean, you're not wrong. The North-South game, I mean, let's be real. Since Felipe Franks, they don't have it. Like, the North-South game is just, in the air, it's not as common as we would like, or at least it doesn't feel that way. I think they threw the ball. I saw someone post a little while back. They threw more 25-plus yard balls downfield this year than they did last year, but still far fewer. It feels like compared to 2020. I can't think of too many DBs that Prime could not get if he wanted them. Yeah, well, he tried to get Metcalf. He went after Metcalf, the freshman or the high school senior. They went after him. Do you think Pittman is holding Bryle's offense back? We talked about this, last week, I think? I certainly think he's playing a role. I do. I certainly believe that Pittman is playing a role, and because he admitted, we agreed, Chad agreed that the Ole Miss game was the game where time them out. Ole Miss game is where Sam Pittman came out and he admitted that he pumped the brakes too soon, right? And yeah, I mean, and listen, at the end of the day, I'm sure the majority of coaches in college football at the any division, any level, high school, college, FCS, FBS, going all the way up to the pros, I'm sure every coach has veto power. But Sam outright admitted that he felt like they just pumped the brakes, that he had pumped the brakes a little too soon. And, I mean, to a degree, you wonder, that wasn't the first time he's done that since he's been here. You kind of wonder how much of an influence he really has over the offense. And, I'll say something else, since it appears like they're keeping Kendall for a fourth year, which is unheard of in this day and age of college football. It does make you wonder if he's the guy in waiting at head coach. It really does. It makes you wonder. But I do believe that Sam Pittman, to some capacity, he has an effect on this offense. I think he does want to establish the run. I think that's his identity. I mean, he's an offensive line coach. One of the reasons why he came here with Brett's because he liked Brett's understanding of what the offense was going to be when he came over and how that was going to help, the offensive line play and should make it easier to recruit, right? And the success that Arkansas had under Petrino and under Nutt with running backs and with offensive linemen getting drafted, and like they were having all this kind of success on the offensive line and the run game. That's one of the things that lured Sam Pittman here, along with Brett. Again, their understanding of what they wanted to do as an offensive identity, 10 yards in a cloud of dust. That's in the back of his mind every game, or maybe at the forefront of his mind. We want to establish the ground game. And so it kind of cuts into the offense and what they're really capable of doing. I do. Again, I think Sam, to some degree or another, has some kind of impact on the offense. How much, I'm not really sure. It could be very little. It could just be that. No, okay, we're going to hold up. From now on, Kendall, just call run plays. Let's just find ways to eat up the clock. We've got a huge lead or whatever. Not that happened. Not that that's happened a whole lot. I saw Nick Smith Jr. is sitting out because his manager doesn't want his to possibly get hurt and lose draft stock, and not because he's actually hurt. I don't know where you're reading that at, Shooter Race. That sounds like just a bunch of speculation. I mean, I definitely don't. I've not heard that. I'll just say that. Losing Shearer hurts linebacker recruiting. I don't know, man. They picked up a pretty good transfer. I don't know about that. I think they're still in pretty good shape. Are they going to be able to lure another Drew Sanders? Probably not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Still got a little time left. Remember, the deadline, I believe, is January 18th. Now, the way the visit's set up, it's really weird. I have a very short window, I believe. Maybe it opens back up. The one thing I hate about taking the pedal off the gas is when the other team starts catching up. We rarely have any momentum to keep our lead. Yeah. This defensive staff we have is loaded. Yeah, I really like the hires so far. I really do. Crook is going to be good. Crook and, of course, Christopher Poopall, both going to be fantastic. I read that too, Ty, but dude was speculating because of who Nick's manager is. Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. You think KJ's accurate? You think KJ is as accurate as we need him in middle yardage passing? I don't know. Like, it gets tough when you like, the question is often when you talk about KJ's accuracy and his arm talent, is KJ a guy that could operate within any offense? You know, is KJ the kind of guy that, now that he's had all this experience under his belt at the college level, could he have success in the NFL? You know, how much of his game would translate into the NFL? How much of his game and the things that he does well, how much of those things would translate into another offense, into a higher, into the NFL? I don't have the answers to that. Can he hit medium throws? Yes, we've seen him hit medium throws. We've seen his downfield accuracy is pretty high, and I'm pretty sure it was either Pro Football Focus had graded him out as one of the highest deep ball passers going into the season, and that's considering a guy that didn't take a lot of shots downfield in 2021. And I think they did take more this year compared to last year when you're talking about 25-yard throws and further 25-plus yards plus downfield throws. We've seen him make those throws. Like, how often did he – it felt like more times than not he was able to hit his targets on the spot downfield when they actually did stretch the field out. And yeah, I think his medium throws were pretty accurate. I don't have the numbers on that. I'm sure someone's got some analytics on his completions and where they're at on the field. I couldn't tell you what they look like. I would argue a lot of them are, like someone suggested, those short maybe hitch route kind of throws, 10 yards and in, or sideline throws. That seems to be about what this offense was really trying to do, along with establishing the run. And that's probably going to be their identity in 2023. I don't know that you see much of a change. I could be way off. They could really work on the pass game, but that's going to be hard to do when you're whiffing on guys like Thornton if you don't get Tesla. And I think they're in pretty good shape with Weaver. I believe they're in pretty good shape with Weaver, but I don't know that. You're going to have to learn some talent before we start talking about what they're going to be able to do in 2023. Because other than that, assuming everyone stays put, there's still another window. Still plenty of time for these guys that are still on Arkansas's roster to hop into the portal. But, you're going to have Isaiah Centenia and a plethora of young tight ends and some other wideouts that we haven't talked a lot about, the last season or so. It's going to be a very young group. Now, they're going to get someone out of the portal. They're going to go to plans B and C and D. They're going to get some receivers out of the portal. But I do think Thornton and Tesla and Weaver that's team A. These are the guys that are in the portal at the moment who they really want to get. Again, just because they offer a guy later doesn't mean they're necessarily a bad option. Landers was pretty late. I think I'm right on that. I think Landers was after spring football, was he not? Was it Landers after spring camp? Jordan Dominic? I feel like we've talked about that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're SOL. It doesn't mean you're shit out of luck if you don't get these guys. I think there's going to be opportunities to get some other really talented players out of the portal. But I think at the moment, these are the guys that they wanted. They swung and missed on Thornton. Next up is Tesla and Weaver. I don't know when Weaver's supposed to announce. I'm assuming it's this week, but I could be wrong. I know Tesla is, again, tomorrow. Roberts is sometime early this week was the belief. I think he told the media that he wanted to commit shortly after returning from all of his visits. So that would be this week. So we'll see what happens. Armstrong is a major. Yeah, and Armstrong. I keep forgetting about Armstrong. I like Armstrong. Not going to lie. I do like that cat. I wonder how Odom took the Petrino fake out. My guess is he's like, not surprised. I feel like KJ needs to mature a whole lot this year. I don't know, man. I mean, my God, he's been the guy now for 2 years. He's been the guy. He went in against Mizzou. We all know this. His what was it? His redshirt freshman year. Is that right? And definitely took that offense by the reins and just did whatever he wanted. Went up and down the field on Mizzou. Looked really good. Especially all things considered, in the Chad Morris years and whatnot, and how sloppy things were. And yet you have him come out like, wow, looked really good. And then he's been the guy for the last 2 seasons. I don't know if it's a maturity thing or not. I think they just need to have offensive line can't fall apart at the end of the year. The run game can't fall apart like it did under, Rocket was kind of just really held back a little bit there later in the year. And it seemed like they were just kind of grasping at whatever they could get a hold of. And I don't know that I put that on KJ. You look at the Liberty game, and Liberty's defense is good, but it's not that good. Like, what really happened? I think he was hurt. I do believe that he was hurt. I think that game, had he been healthy, would have been a different situation. Mississippi State, I don't know that he was enough to swing that game in Arkansas's favor, but I definitely think that Arkansas would have racked up more points, would have been a much better game. LSU, you probably win. Liberty, I think, had he been healthy. But see, that just speaks to the kind of player that he is. If you want to talk, maybe you're talking about him being a smarter runner, and I would agree with that. Love to see him actually run out of bounds or slide, make more of an effort to slide, make more of an effort to get out of bounds, be smarter with the football, right? They got a lot. He's got some work to do. I agree with that, but I don't know if it's a maturity thing or if it's just him just being smarter with the football. You go back to the A&M, the He-Man jump from the 3-yard line. Like, what were you thinking, man? That changed everything in that game, at least. Maturity isn't the issue. I think he just needs to work on decision making. Still, he got better this season, but still needs to. But he still needs improvement there, not to take as many hits. Yeah, I agree. There you go now. You're with me. Oh, you're talking about being a smarter runner. Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's a maturity thing. I guess maybe it is. Just be smarter with the football. KJ is a really good quarterback. I agree with that. I do. I think KJ is a really good quarterback. This offense does not work without KJ in this veer and shoot, without a doubt. Part of a quarterback's accuracy is understanding the route, seeing the coverage, and knowing where to put the ball off that. I think KJ struggles there. But he is a good SEC quarterback. Well, I mean, he's had a pretty steady, his touchdown to interception ratio, his completion to interception ratio is insane. I mean, it's really high. So I don't know if it's that or not, Steven. I mean, I kind of feel like his ball placement's not that bad. And I think his decision making is mostly pretty good. I mean, my God, you had a total offense that was pretty outstanding when you're talking about yards per game. Where things got sideways for Arkansas as an offense, I think, was for a part of the year. It was like once they crossed into enemy territory on the other side of the 50-yard line, the offense just went wacky. Instead of going north-south and finding the kind of success that they had on the other side of the field, they're trying to stretch the field out, which you understand. You want to back everybody out of the box. I don't have a problem with that, but it became consistent, and it became an issue where it was just it wasn't working when they were doing these receiver sideline throws and trying to find somebody out in the flats. It just did not work. These receiver plays out at the sidelines and short routes, short and intermediate outside routes, they just didn't connect, and it didn't work. Defenses read them like open books. Why would you change what got you there? And Dudley Dawson and I talked about that a lot. Why would you switch things up where you were having all this success behind the 49-yard line once you got on the other side of the field? I don't understand it. Decision making, footwork. Well, I don't know. We'll bring Stephen Hamner on. That's who we need to bring on. That's a guy. I'm going to listen to what Stephen Hamner has to say on quarterbacks. He was pretty impressed with KJ. I don't know that he brought up footwork. I don't know. Maybe I think everyone says that about every college quarterback, his footwork. Maybe that is what's going on. I don't know. KJ is a great quarterback. He's been consistent. Accuracy's been good. Needs to be smarter about his body. I agree with that. Definitely needs to be smarter with his body. Love to see him do the out of bounds thing or slide. And you could mess yourself up sliding too. You can absolutely mess yourself up sliding, but you have to kind of judge the risk there, right? I'm sure there's been a player or quarterback that's done some real damage to his legs by sliding. But that versus a 250-pound, 240-pound linebacker knocking you around, targeting calls that don't get called. I think we hire an edge coach. I have no idea, John. Maybe it could be if they're going. You've got a new a new defensive coordinator, so we'll see what he does. We'll see what happens. I'm sure, there's going to be some changes. I have heard they want to hire. They're gonna make another hire on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know how anyone really knows that right now, but I ain't hating on KJ's accuracy overall. My gripe with his accuracy is very slight. The throws that are behind a guy instead of leading. Yeah, okay, sure. Arkansas is better than you think, says KJ is quietly becoming a top 5 quarterback in Razorback history, but some people don't want to talk about that. Yeah, 3 years, which is in this day and age also unheard of for starting quarterback. That's unheard of. I should say it seems like it's becoming less and less common that a guy sticks with the same program for 3 years in this day and age of the portal or jumping to go pro. I'm sure there's been several or a lot of 3-year starting quarterbacks across college football these last couple of years, but it just feels like that's unheard of. Kind of like Kendall Briles sticking around for 4 years. I definitely did not see that happening. I really didn't. I thought Barry would stay 2, maybe 3. But I didn't think either one of them would stay 4. And then also to have KJ here for 3 years as a starter. Projected starter, I highly doubt anyone's going to pass him. He's going to earn his right. He's in a similar boat as like a Brandon Allen. That was the last time you had a 3-year starting quarterback. That's right? Brandon Allen. Correct me if I'm wrong. Austin Allen was 2 years, and Brandon Allen was 3. Is that right? You guys, again, bail me out. Wasn't he 4? Wait, was Brandon Allen 4 years as a starter? Pretty sure it was 3. Regardless, yeah, he's going to have another year, another opportunity. If he continues this touchdown to interception ratio, the completion ratio to interception ratio, yeah, man, could have a great and the schedule doesn't feel great because of where you got to play this year. You got to go at Bama, at LSU. You got some tough games. But under the big lights, in the big show, great opportunities for him to show out this year. BA was 3 years. Okay, 2013, 2014. Yeah, all right. That's right. I thought Braz would leave last year. I did too. I thought this was it. 3 years, he's gone. I was kind of waiting on him to take the job somewhere, and he didn't. All right, well, that's going to do it. I do appreciate you guys for stopping by. A lot of good stuff. Remember Mac Jones' horrible slide that injured? Yeah, and there's a right and a wrong way to slide. Absolutely, there is. You got to be smart about it. But, yeah, I appreciate you guys. Remember to like, share, subscribe on your way out if you're new here. Patreon supporters, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Hey, Super Bowl tonight. I didn't even ask you guys who you're taking. I feel like we missed some stuff. I am taking Georgia to cover. I think Georgia ends up winning this thing by – someone had mentioned some back-end points for TCU and helping to cover up that spread, but I could be – and I hope I'm wrong because I am rooting hard for TCU. I'm not even going to lie about it. I'm rooting for TCU. But I think Georgia wins this thing pretty easily. I'm going to say Georgia probably by, 17. It feels that way. TCU very well coached, man. That quarterback is dangerous. You could see them get some makeup points, or who knows, maybe this is the exact opposite. Stetson Bennett gets off to another slow start. Anything could happen. It's always, a Big 12 team is always going to be the underdog, but they beat Michigan. Say what you want about Harbaugh and how horrible he's been in postseason play. I will agree, but they still far more talent on Michigan's roster, and they did enough to take care of business against Harbaugh and the Wolverines. You never know. If they win, it's got to be one of the biggest upsets ever. It's got to be one of the biggest upsets in terms of national championship, right? Or you could even argue in the BCS era. I still think that Fiesta Bowl, what year was that? Was that 03, 04 when Boise State beat Oklahoma? You guys remember that? Go watch that on YouTube. That's still one of my favorite. What an upset. This would feel something similar to that. Would be TCU beating Georgia. But I think Georgia probably wins this thing pretty easily. Band Next Door is a rock band in Arkansas. Oh, okay. Well, welcome, Band Next Door. Thanks for hopping in here. Thanks for being a part of it. Statue of Liberty, that's right. What the hell is the name of that quarterback? Isn't he a coach? Isn't he an offensive coordinator like at Dallas? Kellen Moore? Wasn't that who that was? Help me out. Bail me out before we go. That was Kellen Moore, right? And he's now he's like an OC or something with the Cowboys. He does something with the Cowboys. Man, maybe I'm just thinking about this all wrong. We used to run that play. Yeah, who didn't run the Statue of Liberty? I will look you up, Band Next Door. I promise I will. If you're here obviously you're here on YouTube. I'll look you up. I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm out of the band scene. Have been for a very long time. Local music. Used to. I had some friends that played in some bands. Silverstone, Solomon's Vine, Six Hung Sprung. They were really popular in Fayetteville. But anyways, that was great. That was a great bowl game. Fiesta Bowl, Boise State versus Oklahoma. I think that would be that caliber of game. I think that's what this would be. So Go Fast was the last band I knew. Yeah, there's been a lot of really good local bands in Arkansas. Used to go to George's on Dixon, listen to the local bands. I want TCU to win, but other conferences are going to try to clown the SEC if TCU does. I could really care less. I have given up on believing that bowl games are a proper way to tell how good or bad a conference is. Unless you send 10 teams and they all go, if you go 2-8, 1-9, okay, there might be, okay, that conference just had a bad year. I think now it's always been speculation, but it's even more speculation now than ever. Because bowl games with all the opt-outs, with guys deciding to go pro and opting out, the transfer portal being open before bowl, which is so stupid. So damn stupid. It's had an impact on bowl games. So I don't hold what a conference does in bowl games. I won't even hold it against the Big 12. And I've told you guys for years, I don't know that I would even count the Big 12 as a Power 5. Without Oklahoma or Texas, they're not a Power 5 conference. Let's just be real. So anyways, you guys be good. I guess go check out this band. I guess they already popped out. But Band Next Door, rock band from Arkansas. Go check them out, I guess. Why not? I'll give you a free plug. Woo Pig, we'll see you guys. I don't know if I'm doing a live response tomorrow or not. I don't know. To Tesla, if Tesla commits, I may do a live. If he commits like tomorrow when I'm available, let's just say that. No, I'm here. Oh, okay. All right, you guys go check them out then. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you guys. Thanks, Ty, for great stuff as always. Thank you guys for being here. Like, share, subscribe. I will. Maybe I'll be back tomorrow. If not, I'm planning on going live Wednesday. We're going to talk about Arkansas and Alabama. Right now, that's the plan. And then we will be live for that post game against Alabama. That's a big one. That's a big one in Bud Walton Arena. So I'll either see you guys tomorrow or possibly Wednesday at some point or another. I'll try to keep you guys up to date in Discord. All right? Woo Pig, go check out this band. Band Next Door. Go check them out. I'll see you guys around.